Hi, my name is Paul Musembwa. I'm the CEO of Warp Developments. This is a new company that we've created to address Africa's affordable housing challenge. I was born in Uganda, grew up there in a very difficult time. When I was in Uganda as a child, Idi Amin was president. If you ask most people about Uganda, they probably remember Idi Amin. It was pretty brutal dictatorship. Every Ugandan I can think of was paralyzed by fear at that time. I remember, for example, my mom and my dad didn't want to talk about the previous president because they thought that if they mentioned his name in the house, someone would be eavesdropping and could get them into trouble. It was actually not completely unfounded fear, because I recall when I was 5, as well as when I was 8, when I was 11, there were some public executions by Idi Amin. It was a scare tactic, it worked. If anyone had someone they considered a political opponent in Idi Amin's time, they would just tell some Secret Service guys, and you knew how these guys were dressed. You saw their cars. You'd just tell them this person's trying to plot against the president, and they'd get strung up and shot in public. It worked. So when I was 11, my parents had to flee to Kenya, just before the conventional war that kicked Idi Amin out. We stayed in school in Uganda, and we were stuck there during that conventional war. My parents had no idea who we were. 3 boys went to different homes. The guardians that were looking after us didn't know who we were. They didn't know that my older brother was okay. They didn't know that my younger brother was okay. And this was a 3-week period of total radio silence. The war ended, Idi Amin was kicked out, and Uganda started its rebuilding process. It took a while. It culminated in the current leadership in Uganda in 1986. And 1987, my family moved back to Uganda. I'd finished my high school in Kenya at the time. And so I worked briefly for the central bank, got to know IT, got to move to the United States for my undergraduate work in Boston, did computer science there. Went back to Uganda, worked for a couple of years at the central bank. It was boring, to be honest. Working with an institution that's counting money is not very interesting. But I did more IT work at the central bank, and then got a scholarship to go to Berkeley. That was a great opportunity. So 1994, I went to Berkeley for 2 years for my MBA. And it was a general MBA. I didn't really know what I was going to be doing with my life, to be honest, but I had this scholarship. Spent 2 great years in Berkeley, went back to Uganda, worked for a couple of banks, and eventually went to work in a rural area in Uganda in 1998. And that was a transforming experience for me. It really was. I was in one of the poorest regions of the country. Beautiful, it's beautiful. It's the area that's close to where the mountain gorillas are. And so you got tourists coming in every once in a while to see these beautiful animals, but very, very poor place. And we had to contend with, how do you impact these people positively? How do you create activity that makes very poor rural people engage in the economy? I had no idea. I was running a business that potentially could impact these people's lives, but we're not making much of a difference. And so that's when I started this question about, how do you build the economy from scratch? How do you take a country that's got nothing going for it and turn it into a country that is, in Africa's case, a middle income country? Every African leader is aspiring to middle income status for their countries. They've run out of ideas. They don't know what to do. The old stories of exporting this or exporting labor, exporting gold, is not working. I had to ask myself some serious questions. And that's where I went down this path of housing and urbanization. Never studied it in school. Never, not one day did I do any real estate course, any housing finance course, nothing. But suddenly, around the year 1999, 2000, I got bitten by the housing bug. And that bug has informed my entire life since then. Couldn't shake it, as much as I tried. I tried to get away from this and do some other jobs, be a consultant, international development consulting, you name it. Could not shake this bug. It became a personal quest to figure out how to build enough housing to address the needs of every Ugandan, and by extension, every African. So here we are, Warp Developments. We figured it out, I think, and the next few years are going to be about making this happen.